Have you ever wondered why crowds drain you, but solitude makes you feel alive? Why you've never cared much about fitting in, even when everyone around you seemed desperate for approval? For years, people probably told you to get out more, be more social, stop overthinking everything. Maybe you even tried, and still, it's something inside you never quite matched. Maybe you've spent years trying to become more like everyone else, never realizing you were never supposed to. Because what if the very thing you've been trying to fix was never a flaw at all? Psychologists have noticed something fascinating. People who share this pattern think, choose, and connect with the world in a completely different way. And the final sign is the one that usually makes people stop the video and say, "How did you know that about me?" Let's clear something up first, because the term lone wolf has been badly misunderstood. It doesn't mean antisocial. It doesn't mean cold. It doesn't mean someone got hurt so badly they stopped needing people. This isn't the absence of connection. It's a completely different relationship with it. And underneath all of it sits one single difference. Most people, when they need an answer, look outward. What does the group think? What's expected here? What will keep me accepted? You look inward first. What do I actually think? What feels true to me? What can I live with? You were never avoiding people. You were following a compass. Most people never learn to read. Let's start with the most visible sign of all. Sign 1. You genuinely enjoy being alone. It's Friday night, 9 o'clock. Your phone hasn't buzzed in 3 hours. The house is quiet. Nothing on the calendar. Nobody expecting you anywhere. For most people, that's the definition of a lonely night. You just exhaled. That's the tell. Not that you tolerate solitude, that something in you arrives when everyone leaves. Your thinking clears, your energy returns. The version of you that was carefully managed all day finally gets to sit down. People misread this constantly. They see someone pulling away and assume something's wrong. They can't tell the difference between a person hiding from life and a person who found the place where they think most clearly. You're not escaping people, you're returning to yourself. And that quiet preference eventually changes something much deeper. The way you decide what's true. Sign 2. You think for yourself. Picture a table, 6 people. Someone states an opinion and heads start nodding around the circle. You nod politely too. But inside, something keeps running. How do we actually know that's true? You can't skip that step. Even when skipping it would make your life significantly easier. Even when you know the question won't be welcome. Psychologists call this a low need for cognitive closure, meaning you can sit inside uncertainty far longer than most people can stand. Where others reach for the fastest available answer, usually whichever one the group already holds, you're willing to stay in, "I don't know yet." It's cost you. You've been called difficult, too intense, too much. But it's not stubbornness. It's an unwillingness to borrow conclusions you haven't tested yourself. This isn't a personality flaw. It's a different psychological operating style. And once you start questioning what everyone accepts, you start seeing what everyone misses. Sign 3. You notice what others miss. Here's where almost everyone gets this wrong. They call it overthinking. It isn't. When you spend more of your life observing than participating, your perception develops along a different track. Participants are busy performing, managing their own presence in the room. Observers are busy watching. And watching, done for enough years, builds pattern recognition most people simply never develop. So, you catch the pause that lasted a half second too long. The word someone chose instead of the one they almost said. The moment the temperature in a room shifted before anyone else registered it. And here's the part nobody talks about. You see things you'd rather not see. You register the crack in a friendship before either friend admits it exists. You notice when someone's warmth isn't real, and then you sit at the table anyway and pretend you didn't. That's a heavy thing to carry silently. It's not overthinking. It's the byproduct of a lifetime spent watching. And when you're always watching from the outside, something starts building on the inside. Sign 4. You have a rich inner world. Think back to being 8 or 9 years old. Do you remember being somewhere completely ordinary? The back seat of a car, a classroom, a family gathering, while an entire world ran behind your eyes? Stories, questions, conversations you were having with nobody. Most people wired this way remember that clearly because it never stopped. The inner world just got more sophisticated, ideas connecting to other ideas, problems you've been turning over for years without mentioning to anyone. And maybe you've sat in a room full of people, laughing at the right moments, joining the conversation, saying all the right things, and still felt like the only person there who wasn't actually there. That's the cost. Not being alone. Living somewhere nobody else can visit. This isn't detachment. It's depth that's never found enough room to be shared. And living inside a world that rich changes who you learn to trust and what you need from them. Sign 5. You rarely seek emotional reassurance. You make a big decision, leaving a job, ending something, moving somewhere new. You think it through carefully. You decide, and then you just live with it. You don't text 4 people asking if you made the right call. You don't need someone to tell you it'll be fine. You don't require the emotional confirmation most people need after any significant choice. Not because you're never uncertain. You are. You just process the uncertainty internally instead of outsourcing it. Psychologists connect this to an internal locus of control, the belief that your life is shaped mostly by your own choices, not by luck or other people's opinions. But there's a weight to it people underestimate. When you decide alone, you carry it alone. No committee to point to when it goes wrong, no consensus to hide behind. Most people would find that unbearable. You've just gotten used to it. Now here's something that surprises people. The biggest challenge of being wired this way isn't loneliness. It's constantly being misunderstood by people who assume loneliness is the problem. Before we continue, I'm curious, which sign has felt the most personal so far? Tell me the number in the comments. And if these ideas make you feel seen in a way most conversations never have, subscribe and hit the bell icon. That's exactly why this channel exists. 6 more signs. Let's keep going. Sign 6. You keep a small, loyal circle. This one surprises even psychologists. Research consistently finds that relationship quality predicts well-being far more reliably than relationship quantity. People with 3 deep connections routinely report better outcomes than people with 30 shallow ones. Which means the thing you were quietly self-conscious about your entire life was never the deficit everyone implied it was. You might have 3 people, maybe 4, possibly 2, and you'd trade 100 acquaintances for any one of them. Your relationships aren't maintenance-based. They're not built on proximity or convenience. They took years to build and would take years to replace. You don't have a bench. You have a family you chose. And when one of those few people leaves, the silence feels much louder than most people could ever imagine. That same instinct, depth over quantity, shows up in how you behave around everyone else too. Sign 7. You value authenticity over approval. Watch 2 people walk into the same party. The first adjusts within seconds, reads what the room wants and shifts toward it. Louder here, softer there, agreeable everywhere. It's automatic. They don't even notice they're doing it. The second walks in is exactly the same person they were in the car. That's you, and you've paid for it. Psychologists call this low self-monitoring, meaning you don't automatically change who you are just to fit the room. The upside is integrity. The downside is friction, because social life runs on small performances, minor agreements you don't fully mean. And when you can't produce those easily, doors close that would have opened for someone more flexible. You've watched less capable people advance further because they were better at being agreeable. It's not that you're difficult, it's integrity with a social price tag. And that same refusal to perform shows up in how you guard what you've built. Sign 8. You protect your peace. Here's the most common misconception about people like you, that the boundaries come from coldness, the group chat you muted, the friendship you let quietly fade, the invitation you declined without a real explanation. The conversation you walked away from because you could already see where it was heading. From the outside, that reads as distance. Here's what's actually happening. You know exactly what your nervous system costs to maintain. You've felt what happens when you spend 3 days recovering from one draining evening. You've run that math enough times to stop volunteering for it. Most people don't protect their peace because they've never measured what losing it costs them. You have. It's not avoidance, it's knowing the price of your own regulation. But protecting your peace has a consequence nobody warns you about. Sign 9. You naturally outgrow people. This is usually the hardest one to admit. There was no fight, no falling out, no moment you can point to and say, that's when it broke. The conversations just got shorter, the gaps got longer, and one day you realized you hadn't spoken in 8 months, and neither of you had noticed. And here's the realization that takes people years to reach. You didn't stop loving them. You stopped being the person the relationship was built around. When someone changes internally faster than the relationships surrounding them, those relationships strain, not from conflict, from divergence. And it leaves a very particular grief, a trail of good people who never did anything wrong, guilt with nowhere to go, because there's nobody to apologize to and nothing to apologize for. It's not disloyalty. It's what happens when you refuse to stay smaller than you've become. And underneath every single sign so far sits one final choice you've been making your whole life. Sign 10. You choose growth over comfort. Look at the actual shape of your life, not what you believe about yourself, the choices. You've left situations that were comfortable because they were also stagnant. Ended things that were fine because fine wasn't enough. Chosen the harder version of your life more than once. And then, knowing exactly what it cost last time, chosen it again. You've never been the person who found a comfortable arrangement and settled into it for 20 years. Something in you won't allow it. The cost is a life that's rarely easy, rarely settled, rarely simple. Most people build toward stability. You keep building toward truth, which is significantly less comfortable and considerably less popular. Comfort keeps people safe. Truth changes who they become. And without fully realizing it, you've been choosing the second path your entire life. And now, the final sign, the one almost nobody talks about. Sign 11. You're almost never bored alone. This may be the rarest sign of all. Most people can't sit in a room with nothing happening. No phone, no screen, no noise. Within 4 minutes, they're reaching for something. Boredom for them is genuinely uncomfortable. The feeling of an unfilled space that demands to be filled. You can sit there for an hour because for you, an empty room isn't empty. Something is already happening in it. You're not enduring the silence. You're using it. Your mind generates enough of its own world that external stimulation isn't the point. It's often the interruption. That's not avoidance. That's not disconnection. That's a mind that was always its own best company. If you recognize yourself throughout this video, don't focus on how many signs matched. Focus on what connects them all, one internal reference point instead of an external one. Where most people learn to look outward for the answer, you learned early to look inward first. And that single difference shapes everything else on this list. The solitude, the thinking, the noticing, the outgrowing, the silence you never needed to fill. It's all the same compass, pointed inward. But I want to be honest with you, because you deserve better than flattery. Being this way is genuinely harder. It's lonelier. Fewer people understand you. Less support when things get difficult. You carry decisions alone, process your hardest chapters alone, and grieve friendships nobody else even knew had ended. The world is built for people who look outward. When you're wired differently, every room requires slightly more translation. That's real. And pretending otherwise would be dishonest. But difficulty is not the same thing as wrongness. And different is not the same thing as broken. Maybe your whole life you've been trying to become someone who needed less solitude, when the real journey was learning to trust the person you already were. Some people spend their entire lives becoming who the world expects. Others spend their lives discovering who they already are. If you're a lone wolf, don't mistake your difference for a defect. It never was. It was always the point. Before you go, out of everything in this video, which sign felt most like reading your own biography? Drop the number in the comments, 1 through 11. I read every single one. And if this finally gave language to something you've carried quietly for years, subscribe to UNFELT. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. You were never the problem. You were simply built to find yourself before you found your place. I'll see you in the next one.